Joined by
Lady Tshawe indodakazi kaMbhangazi aqhube ngelaqhwala iqhwala liwedolo kuphela ndim lo wasiza umkhonto amadoda abhodla igazi unati. So tea is almost like it's got healing virtues. I think I found my purpose within my passions.
okay.
I always
That's
say,
interesting.
yeah, I always say they should
Like you're going to a household and parents boast about their kids speaking English. Like my child only speaks English.
Yeah.
But
and poetry, you should come to a poetry show and snap your fingers.
Yeah.
Sometimes it scares me. Sometimes I'm like, no, don't look up to me. Don't. Because I went blind for 6 days. So I had what? Don't be afraid to fail. They will laugh at you, but it doesn't determine your worth. It doesn't define. I'm an actor. We've been put in difficult situations
where you have to do the most with the least.
Yeah, so don't worry.
All right. What's up, guys? It's your boy Tapiwa Zimamba, also known as the Fitness Doctor, and I'm joined by
Lady Tshawe indodakazi kaMbhangazi aqhube ngelaqhwala iqhwala liwedolo kuphela ndim lo wasiza umkhonto amadoda abhodla igazi unati.
Yo, can you please do that again? Can you please do that? Okay, I'm here joined by rewind. Yo, so that's your like intro.
That's my intro. Use Thakazelo zami.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
my totems, yeah.
That's nice. Say that again, please. Just the first part at least.
Sasiza umkhonto amadoda abhodla igazi.
Yay. Okay,
don't miss.
I think there's a lot of people who are interested in knowing like who Lady Tshawe is. Like, okay, first of all, I'm sure a lot of people know her as Lady Tshawe. What's your name and surname?
Nomashawekazi. Nomashawekazi being the first name.
Okay.
Then Damasane being my surname.
Damasane. Okay. And would you know what your name is?
Yeah.
What
Mother
does it
of
mean?
princesses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yay! Your parents are very intentional, eh?
Very intentional. Like I've got 3 names,
Okay.
and each name has a meaning, and it's very intentional.
Okay.
So it's Nomashawekazi, Michelle, and Sikabuziwe Nkosi. So Nomashawekazi, a mother of princesses. Michelle, who is like God. Sikabuziwe Nkosi, I've been kissed or blessed by the king.
God. Oh, yay!
God. Yeah. So everything is intentional.
And confirm there's power in names, because like even Nomashawekazi, like the person you are literally
A queen.
Yeah, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think this is one thing we underrate. Like there's power in names, guys.
Yeah.
Forever. This is not what we're dwelling on, but for whoever's naming that child, be very intentional about the name you choose, because it can make or break their future.
Definitely.
All right, but anyway, let's jump into it. Tell us about Lady Tshawe.
Oh, Lady Tshawe is this short human being who loves. I'm short, like I've embraced my height. This short human being who loves to tell stories. So I love telling stories through poetry, through music, through dance, through acting, and through anything that I do is a form of me telling a story.
Okay.
And I love tea. Like that's something that goes without saying.
Serious, like it's even tea, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm actually disappointed. I came here, there was no tea.
I'm so sorry.
And I was like, should I have brought my own tea?
I'm so sorry. Next time we have an episode, I'll make sure I've got tea for her.
Definitely.
So where does the love of before I get to the first part, because that's the deep part, where does the love of tea come from?
Honestly, I knew Wazi. A lot of people would think maybe not even. I just loved tea. My parents would say, we just love tea. And the older I became, I realized that tea is almost like a ritual of, I don't want to use the word ritual, but that's the first word that comes to mind, where it allows you to meditate, allows you to zen, allows you to just slow down. And for me, it allows me to think about things. So if I'm having a bad day, I drink tea. If I'm having a good day, I drink tea. So it allows me to fully think about what's going on before reacting and responding to things. So tea is almost like it's got healing virtues. It's a conversation starter. For me, it's a lot of things for me.
I've never looked at tea like that, guys. I think I also love tea, but it's a specific type of tea for me.
Yeah.
Like it's mostly green tea.
Yeah.
I think I need to try other teas. Yeah.
Others, I mean, try hibiscus, try peppermint,
Okay.
try chamomile, try lemongrass. Like all of these have got great properties, especially for you guys in fitness.
Why are you saying you guys? You're also.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
All right, so let's talk about you telling a story. Like, have you always been like that from a young age? Do you think, actually, what's your purpose? What do you think you found your life purpose?
I think I found my purpose within my passions.
Okay.
I always
That's
say,
interesting.
I always say there should be purpose within your passion. And my
Okay.
passion has always been the arts.
Oh,
Has always
okay.
been like being immersed in the arts and culture of things.
Okay.
And my purpose really is, like I say, is to tell stories. And either I'm telling my story or someone's story, being a voice for the voiceless, which is quite interesting because naturally, I'm not shy, but I'm shy. So I wouldn't
Really?
I wouldn't put myself out there all the time.
Okay.
So it's interesting that my purpose lies in being the voice and using my voice as a gift and a tool to
Okay.
speak, to heal, to correct, to love, to give, to share. So that's really the purpose. I know when I die, one of the things that, and besides ETA, people are going to remember me for being that lady that told stories
Wow.
through her gifts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what would you say to someone who's stuck, like who's looking for what it is that they were born to do? You get what I mean? Like, because I feel like purpose changes. It doesn't really change, but like it's molded into a certain thing. Like you can be led to one thing that will lead you to the other. Like for example, I was introduced to my purpose through fitness.
Right.
But I'm noticing my real purpose is to motivate, not exactly like a motivational speaker,
Yeah.
but I'm a catalyst, like to tell you that you've got greatness in you. You don't know how big you are. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it was through fitness that I discovered that, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who's in that, can I say identity crisis or purpose discovery stage?
I think that's a very interesting question. I think it's important to find what you like doing, or what you enjoy doing. You may not be very passionate about it. So if we're using your example of you found your purpose through fitness, you were doing something that you enjoyed, you liked. It was not something that was daunting or I don't want to do this, but you were enjoying it. And whilst you're doing something that you enjoy, you begin to grow yourself. In that moment, you're growing as a person and you're discovering things about yourself. So for me, purpose is not something that you wake up and say, this is my
I've
purpose.
got it, yeah.
But it's about self-discovery in everything that you're doing in your day-to-day life. So if you find something that you enjoy doing and you keep doing it, then you realize that, this is what I want to do. So, for example, for me, I love culture.
Okay.
So I found myself doing arts a lot. Poetry, acting, but I was also really someone who enjoyed the cultural side of things.
Okay.
And that then led me to starting a brand, Ndebele Crush.
Wow.
Where I was like,
guys, Ndebele Crush, amazing brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
So
brand.
Ndebele Crush Muntwini. So it's
I knew it before I knew. That's
which
how
is
good
good.
it is.
Which is good. That's what I want people to know the brand before they know the person. And so when Ndebele Crush came about, it was a conversation starter to say, how do we talk about who we are as a people, our traditions, our history, our culture? Because we're a generation that may not really want to talk about what used to happen 100 years ago.
Okay.
Or we don't know the value of isintu, amasiko. What's my contribution to that? Because we're going to have generations coming after us and they'll be saying, in Shona and in 10 years from now, maybe that thing won't be existing anymore. So how do we preserve that? How do we preserve that culture in my own way? And hence that comes out. So I found another aspect of my purpose in terms of telling stories in the preservation of our stories. So we don't only tell them, but how do we preserve them?
And a lot has been lost in culture, eh?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's funny where you go. No offense. Like, you know, you go into a household and parents boast about their kids speaking English.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, my child only speaks English.
Yeah.
But you're not English. Do you get it? Like,
Yeah.
people are no longer proud of who they really are. And I think it comes from you genuinely knowing who you truly are for you to be proud of who you are.
Exactly who you are and whose you are.
Oh, dang. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? I think we're jumping into another one.
I mean,
Yeah.
so who am I? I'm Noma Shawekazi. I'm Lady Tshawe. But whose am I?
Wow.
You know, when I introduced myself, I said Indodagazi Gampangazita. So meaning I'm a daughter of Bangazita, my father, right? But that's just who I am. But what I believe whose I am is I'm the daughter of the Most High.
The Most High.
You know, the great I am, Elohim, Umvelinqani, you know, and it's so important for me to be grounded in the whose I am, because then it governs the who I am.
I feel like doing those things.
And poetry, you should come to a poetry show and snap your fingers.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you discover the whose you are? Like, is it something that you were grown into, or is it something that you discovered for yourself?
So, fun fact, I'm a PK, I'm a pastor's kid. So I grew up in the church.
Okay.
So church is all I knew, literally.
Okay.
Grew up in the church, because as a PK, you then find yourself being in choir, doing that. So you in the system.
Okay.
But I think making that life decision for me came when I was 16.
Really?
Yeah, when I was 16, I was in my room and I had a dream, and I was just like, wait a minute, this is gonna sound awkward because I never talk about this.
Okay.
So I had a dream, and literally I had an encounter with God.
Wow.
In my dream, and in that moment, that's when I knew I needed to, you know, give my life to God. So I already knew everything, you know, quoting scriptures, etc., etc. I knew the church life.
Okay.
But I didn't have the relationship aspect of it. And that relationship came when I was 16 years old.
Wow. So how do you differentiate knowing God and the relationship with God?
So it's, for example, you didn't know me. You knew of Ndebele Crash, but you knew there was a Lady Tshawe.
Okay.
Right? So the interaction with me is through the brand Ndebele
Okay.
Crash. Then now here we are having an interaction. Now you're getting to know
you.
me. So not just the byproduct of this person.
Hey. You know, it's like I can't count myself for this. Because the bars that you are throwing, like just off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Shucks. Okay, so yeah.
So like I said, we grew up in church, and it was the foundation that I needed.
Okay.
And I think what I'm grateful for in terms of my parents, they never really forced you to say, accept Jesus is a lot. Like now. Fine, they forced us to go to church because we knew every Sunday unkumuntu at church. And they always made sure everyone participated in some program or in some ministry in church.
Okay.
So they got us grounded. But they were always particular knowing Uguti, at some point you are going to have to make a decision,
your own decision
for yourself, to say, this is what I want to do. This is, this I want to have an encounter with God. I want to have a relationship with God for yourself. And so it just came about that way, where you go to church, you know, you're reading the Bible, you learn the word, you learn how to pray. So all those things, it's like going to school, you get taught those things, but the application, for you to apply it, the time hasn't come for you to apply those things. So I'm using that as an example to say, in those years when I was just going to church because we're going to church, it was like I'm learning, you know.
Wow.
But the time to apply it hadn't yet come. And the moment I applied was when I turned 16 and I gave my life to God. And then afterwards, that's when I'm like, wait a minute, now this requires some form of, you know, me playing my part, relationship from my end.
I need to do something.
I need to do something when I'm faced with life challenges. Oh, by the way, we were taught how to pray. Oh, there's that verse that you can, read. So now those things are coming in. Now I'm beginning to apply them. Now I'm beginning to say, but God, listen, I don't like what's happening now. Can we have a conversation? Now I understand the relationship aspect of it.
Wow. So all this time it was like you're just being taught, but you really didn't know what you are learning simultaneous equations for, or weather for, cumulonimbus. You don't know why you're learning
but
all
at
those
some point
things.
it's gonna come in handy.
Exactly.
Precisely.
Wow. So would you say this is where most of your identity lies, like in whose you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it may not be seen as blatant, as black and white when I am working or being Lady Tshawe.
Okay.
But it is what grounds me.
Okay.
It is what grounds even sometimes maybe the content that I churn out.
Yeah.
So the interactions that I have.
That's amazing content.
Thank you.
He's got a program on Sky's Metro. It's called T-Spiration.
Tea with Lady Tshawe.
Oh. Okay, so T-Spiration is a statement that comes from the show?
Yeah, so it's a segment.
That's called T-Spiration.
Yeah.
Okay, so tea with Lady Tshawe. The thing is, I love listening to the T-Spiration.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Like, where do you get that? Like, you've got so much to learn from. Like, I know they say the difference between you and the next individual is information. What do you think got you to where you are now? Because I feel like you've got a lot of wisdom, and probably there's someone who looks up to you out there, and they're like, if only I could be like her. What is, okay, not necessarily the blueprint, but what are some things that guided you to get to where you are?
Well, first things first, do you know it's such a huge responsibility to know that people look up to you. And sometimes it scares me. Sometimes I'm like, no, don't look up to me. Don't, because life is real. And I put that disclaimer because it's life. We go through life. We make mistakes. We make great decisions. We make horrible decisions. And that is what actually creates the blueprint, so to speak, of where we are at. I'm not Solomon. Solomon had the greatest of wisdom, and my understanding of things, or the things that I say rather, comes from my life experiences, both the good and the bad. Understanding that sometimes I'm the villain in someone's story, and sometimes understanding that actually I'm the hero,
the superhero
in someone's story, and accepting that. That reality, to say not everyone is going to like you, not everyone is going to be like, yay, Lady T, yo, that's my vibe. And some people will be like, nah, I don't like her. And that is okay.
She's not my cup of tea.
She's not my cup of tea. She's not my cup of tea, And that is okay. Sometimes it hurts, but that's also accepting that reality as well. So having learned to accept the experiences that I've encountered in life, both the good and the bad, has allowed me, I guess, to be where I am today. And if you ask me the same question 5 years' time, I'll probably say the same thing. From now till 5 years, there's things that I'm going to encounter, there's things that I'm going to learn, things that I'm going to fail horribly at, but also just allowing myself to go through those things and learning from them, I think gives me the T-spirations, where I talk for that 2 minutes to say, this is your inspiration for the day. It's me talking about what I've experienced, because no one can tell you about you besides you. That makes sense. So I can only speak from what I know
about yourself.
Yeah, about myself.
Then people can learn probably from your experience.
And the authenticity about it. So like if we talk about Tea with Lady Tshawe, it's a motivational show. How do we start our morning? So it's the show that starts your day. So it's happening at 5. Those 5 a.m. clubbers, that's the show for you.
That's the one we'll be listening to.
Yeah.
So it's 5 to 6 on Sky's Metro.
Sky's Metro FM. And I give you a motivational quote, I give you the verse of the day. We talk about how do we go about the day. Maybe the topic could be kindness. How do we show kindness? What do we do when people have hurt us? And motivate each other to go through the day, knowing that some days are good, some days are bad. Knowing that maybe I didn't feel like waking up in the morning. Sometimes I tell my listeners, today I didn't want to come on air. Because I'm being real, I'm being authentic. And they appreciate to say, she's not trying.
Not some.
Yes, Lami Futi. I have my off days and my great days, and just being authentic in that regard. I haven't mastered it. I haven't gotten it to the T, but I'm getting there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like, when did your personal self-discovery journey start? Like, I feel like they say we're our best projects, but there are some times where, there's something that it's like a light bulb moment where you're like, you know what? This is the road that I now choose. I'm tired of this one.
I have many moments.
Okay.
I have many moments. But I think maybe the most recent one, so when I'm saying many moments, it's many moments that shape the way I think, that make me see myself in a better light, or that inspires me to change certain things about me.
Okay.
So the most recent one, I had the unfortunate incident of falling sick earlier on this year. So I was out for a month. And what had happened was I went blind for 6 days. So I had what they call optic neuritis.
Okay.
So, and it's a funny story. Now I laugh about it, but it wasn't funny then. So when I went blind. So I went blind, and for 6 days I was in total darkness.
Really?
Total darkness. And it's a lot of things that people don't know that happened to me just this year. Very few people knew about it. And total darkness, sitting in that hospital bed, and all I can rely on are, hearing, touch, smell. So I'm relying on my siblings to tell me, oh, so-and-so sent a message, what should we say? And stuff like that. And in that moment, even in the recovery, when I started regaining my sight, I realized that I can't try and study your life to inspire someone. So if I'm saying I'm a storyteller, it has to start with me.
With your story.
And in that moment, for that whole month when I was recovering, I wrote a lot of books, not a lot of books, a lot of poetry, a lot of quotes in that moment. I would thank God for our phones where you can just say, hey Siri, open notes, and I just speak and download what's on my mind. So I had time to be with myself because I'm in darkness. I had time to talk to myself. I slowed down in that moment. I realized life was just going so fast, and I wasn't taking time to get to know me again. I got to know Norma again. I got to understand what she likes now, what she doesn't like anymore. Certain foods I stopped liking. I didn't realize, I don't like this anymore. It just, and so I got reintroduced to myself. It's such instances, it's such experiences that make me say, sure, this is the route that I have. So even after that short illness, that's when my T-spiration content changed as well. It became more of, what have you experienced? So speak on the truth that you've experienced. If you are speaking about hurt, what hurt have you experienced? So speak on that so that you help someone. So don't go to Google or try and research hurt. And I have to, but me, and what did I learn from that experience? Because then someone else may then say, I resonate with that.
Her. Even if it's one person out of a million, that's a soul touch.
For me, that's enough. Just one person who says, oh, after your show, I felt this, and this is what I learned, this is what I take home.
Wow.
And that's enough. So that's an example of the moment when I'm like, this is the route that I'm going to take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yay. So you reckon people need silence for them to know themselves? People need to be a bit silent for them to hear their own voice? Silence
is good sometimes. Silence is good to just reconfigure yourself, to just realign yourself. For others, it's stepping out of silence
or stepping out of silence.
Yeah, for some to actually find themselves.
Okay.
Some of us are silent all the time. We're always in our own space, right? And then others just need to step out of that and say, okay, let me go to a fitness club, for example, and mingle with other human beings and put myself out there, because we are human beings. We live off of interactions. And sometimes if you have too much interaction, maybe you need to retreat a bit and have that moment to zen and be silent. I always tell some of my female friends, take yourself out on a date. Take yourself out for lunch. You don't you get to see yourself in a different way. Take yourself out for lunch and read a book. And do it that way. It changes a lot of things for you.
It's sad how all these things have been termed boring by the world. Like yeah, like I think there's a lot of distraction nowadays. Like, people can't really zone in on who they are. And it's interesting, I'd never seen it in that aspect, that it's not always about the silence. Sometimes it's just about stepping out of the silence. And it's mostly just stepping into your discomfort. Yeah, like if you're comfortable in your silence, you step into the noise.
Into the noise, so to speak.
Yeah.
And if you're comfortable with noise, let's have a moment of silence. Just to find yourself, just to center. So people who are introverts will always tell you, I need to recharge. We need to recharge, so that you're recharging yourself, your social battery and everything. And it's important for people, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, to just get moments to recharge and just
find yourself.
Yeah.
So who are you speaking to? Like, do you have a specific group of people you're speaking to, or who are you trying? Who is hearing your message?
My message.
Mostly? Yeah.
I used to say the young girl is hearing my message. And until I was hit by the shock of my life, where I had more young men following my content.
Really?
It was, I just don't know how that worked.
Wow.
So I think I'm speaking to a young soul. Whether male or female, regardless of gender, to a young soul who maybe is at a place in their life that just needs to be encouraged or inspired, that may need a big sister in that moment, or may need a friend, or may just need someone to just say, hey, daughter, I sense a soul. So I'm speaking to that person who needs that in that moment.
Okay. That was amazing. You? Yeah, I know. The gems were dropping one by one. So you're going to drop one last part. So the last thing I usually do is, what would you tell the 12-year-old you? Like, if you could meet the 12-year-old you, what would you tell them?
Oh, you're going to get me emotional. Noma, don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid to take the risk. And don't be afraid to fail. They will laugh at you, but it doesn't determine your worth. It doesn't define who you are. And it gets better. And you will have more brighter days than, the gloomy days. And don't be afraid. I think that is the one thing I'll tell my 12-year-old.
Wow.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
So guys, I want you to pretend you're the 12-year-old her and listen to some of the things that she said. Wow, that's amazing.
Don't be afraid. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. We thank Lady Tshawe Noma for coming through, and I'm sure we're going to have her again, since we're getting to know her, and I'm sure a lot of people actually wanted to know her for who she is. Outside the tea
with Lady Tshawe.
And it was really great having you.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with everyone.
Thank you.
So guys, everyone knows that another day is another opportunity to level up. Take care. From your boy TP and
Lady Tshawe, Natanini iti. Bye.